What's going on, guys? You're tuned in to For the Boys Garage. My name is Jose Tex, and welcome to my new YouTube channel. Hey guys, how's it going? It's Jose Tex back again for the Boys Garage. So this next video, what you guys are gonna see, a little bit of backstory. Actually, I was up playing in the mountains with one of the car clubs that I'm affiliated with here in Georgia, and one day we were out on a pretty decent cruise. It was about 5-6 hours. And roughly about an hour to an hour and a half before we got back to camp, my car decided to blow an oil cooler hose. So some of you have seen that on Instagram, Facebook. Some of you have seen kind of my preview video. It just kind of shows you the carnage that that blowing that hose did. The good thing was I was able to save it before it actually caused catastrophic failure to my engine. And because I was able to save it, we got the car back home safely. It was able to drive back home. I didn't have to tow it from Tennessee or North Carolina or wherever we were. And now I'm able to just get a couple of quick repairs done and get the car ready to get back out there on the track. So the next track day is going to be not this Saturday. Today is Saturday. A week from today, October 21st, we're going to be down at Lanier Raceway over in Braselton, Georgia. There's a street driven or something like that. I believe it's the street driven event. There's going to be a lot of cool drivers. There's supposed to be whether some Pro-Am or some FD drivers that are going to be out there drifting. I'm going to be out there with my team as well. We just created a team with myself and a couple of other drivers called Team Grip Slip. So make sure you check us out as well. We'll be out there. We've got my Genesis Coupe. We've got a Genesis Coupe 2.0 Turbo. That's a newer version. We've got an S13 with a RB swap. That's not going to be there just because she's getting her car finished. And yes, it is girl driven, which is pretty cool. And then we've got a MR2 Spider that has an RSX K20A2 engine swap and drivetrain swap as well. Out there, and he's a beast. So we've got a couple of different cars. Right now there's just 4 of us. 3 of us will be drifting next weekend, and we hope to see you out there. But yep, enough of me talking. Let's go ahead and roll into this footage, and you guys get to see me basically walk through cleaning up all the oil that I spilled everywhere, inspecting the car and some of the engine parts, removing some of the parts off of the engine, replacing the oil cooler lines, doing an oil change, and some other things as well. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Alright, so the first couple of things I did, went to the store, I got some rags, and we're going to go ahead and line these underneath the car to try to catch any oil and residue that we can that hit the floor, and pretty much just wipe down as much as we can. Additionally, I got this. Brake clean, and a lot of it. I got like 10 cans. I'm going to spray this stuff down until we get as much of that oil and dirt off as we can, and try to avoid, obviously, the stuff that you don't want brake clean on, like the wheels. But other than that, we're going to spray it all down. So let's get to it. Alright, I'm just going to lay a lot of the rags on the floor like that. And now we can start spraying and wiping. Now usually I would suggest putting on some type of face mask because this stuff can get pretty nasty and it smells really bad. So we'll see. I'm going to start spraying this I feel like it's getting in my face or it's getting too smelly, then I'll put on some safety glasses and a mask. I would suggest you always do that. Always put that stuff on first. You know, just don't listen to me. Well, I said that wrong. Stay in school. Stay in school. More of this stuff sprayed. I'm gonna go put on some safety glasses and a face mask, and I'll get back to you guys when this is all cleaned up. Alright, so this is bad. This is really bad. This is a lot worse than I thought. I'm just gonna have to show you. Alright, look at all that oil. Oh my gosh. It is everywhere. It is literally everywhere. I'm trying not to get you guys directly into the light, but it's all on the gas tank. Look at that. So it's safe to say I've got a lot more cleaning up to do, because I don't know if you know much about me. You probably don't. Those of you who do know that I am really OCD when it comes to cleanliness. The problem with this stuff is it's oil and dirt, and it's caked and baked, and it's a nightmare. So I'm going to clean up as much as I can with this this brake clean, and hopefully, you know, I can get it power washed. Maybe try to bring it over to one of those self-washing bays or something like that. Try to get really low and pressure wash the rest that I can, you know, off that I can get. But it is a drift car. It's not going to be squeaky clean, so you know that's okay. It just wasn't this bad when I put it together, and I spent so much time preparing this chassis and getting it clean. It really sucks, but it is what it is. Things happen. You keep running with it, roll with the punches, and we keep moving. So I'm gonna keep cleaning this thing up, and I'll see you guys back in a second. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and grab my oil drain pan, and I'm going to get my 17mm wrench out so I can remove my drain plug out of my oil pan, and we're going to remove the oil from the engine. And this step is necessary because once we remove our adapter plate from the front of the block, we're going to leak oil there as well. So we want to make sure we get all of the oil out of the system prior to removing that. So make sure when you're doing this, you locate the proper drain plug for your engine. Mine's right here. And we're just going to go ahead and take our 17mm and remove it. Now all the oil is out of the engine, we can go ahead and start removing our adapter plate. And these bolts, there's 4 of them on the front of the engine. They're right underneath the power steering pump, and there's 4 12mm bolts. They're a little difficult to remove sometimes because they've got a sealant on them, almost like a thread locker, and so they're going to be a little snug. So just gently loosen all of them individually. Don't completely remove each one. You want to kind of loosen them in a uniform manner, and once they're all pretty loose, then you can start removing them completely one by one. the actual filter adapter out, we have to remove the radiator fan. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the 4 bolts that is holding in the radiator fan and set that aside so that can be cleaned up a little bit later as well. And then we'll go ahead and continue to remove the filter housing adapter. Alright, so I went ahead and got the housing off, as you can see, and now it's just sitting on the bench. I thought I had a 25mm or 1-inch wrench. Apparently I do not. We'll put this under there to keep the oil from spilling all over the place. So I'm going to go ahead and use my handy dandy adjustable wrench. These here are 1 inch. So I'm going to have to remove these both. Alright, so at the end of the day, this would be so much easier if I just actually invested in an AN wrench. But I don't have one, didn't invest in one, so here we are. Alright, we'll just get the 2 wrenches and squeeze them together. And now, boom, loose. Alright, so now we'll unscrew both of these and try to keep them so they don't drop oil, more oil. This one hasn't been unscrewed probably since I installed the thing, so it's a little tight. It's got dirt and stuff in there. I'll have to clean that out. This one just got installed 2 weeks ago, so that's fine. And now we have the bare oil filter housing. This is the side that bolts to the block. There's the oil pressure sensor, oil temperature sensor here, your 2 ports, and then obviously your oil filter. One thing, guys, I always make sure I use OEM oil filters. Most automotive manufacturers make pretty good filters, so unless you find one that's rated better for your car and has just as good a flow, I would stick to whatever is OEM. Alright, so I went ahead and removed the oil filter, the old one, and I tightened down all the fittings and everything, cleaned everything up. So now it's time for me to put the new oil filter on. Now, whenever you do an oil change, this is standard across the board, as long as you're using a screw-on type filter. The key to getting these to seal properly is to go get your new oil bottle, dip your finger in there, and put a nice coat of oil around this rubber here, this rubber O-ring. What that's going to do is that's going to give it a nice and airtight seal. Okay. Now, also, if your housing that you're actually screwing the filter onto is still on the vehicle, which 9 times out of 10 it will be, you can, as long as it's the filter is screwing in upwards or a little to an angle, as long as it's not coming from the top down where oil obviously would drain out, I like to go ahead and put a little bit of oil inside the filter before I screw it on, just so when you're starting the vehicle, it's not starting dry. Alright, So another thing, whenever you're putting on a new oil filter, you always want to go ahead and just screw it on hand tight as much as you can. Never use a wrench or any sort of tool to put this on, because if you tighten that down too much, you can actually smash the O-ring in there that creates the seal, and you can off-seat it. And then when you go ahead and start your vehicle, you're going to be spraying oil everywhere like I did. You don't want to do that. So always make sure that whenever you put on your oil filter, you're putting it on by hand tight, as tight as you can go, and it'll let you know when it can't go anymore. I mean, that's as tight as I can get, and I'm a pretty big guy. You don't want to go monkey tight on these. You want to go just snug enough, because as you can see here, this end, this fitting here is flared at the end, if my camera will focus. So this fitting is flared. So if I monkey tighten that, and this is made out of aluminum, I'm going to crush that seal and again create a leak. So you always want to make sure that you're taking proper precaution, and you don't want to make any leaks or anything like that. You want to be as safe as possible when installing this stuff, because most of these things are made out of aluminum, and the last thing you need is to tighten something too much, over torque it, and you crack that aluminum, and then you're back at square one. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the other hose. This line is just temporary. This one here is starting to break down a little bit as well. It's got a little fraying. There's no extreme fraying. There's no rub marks where I can see any rubber hose or anything like that on the inside, so I'm not worried about it right now. But within the next month or so, I'm going to replace this hose. And I'm going to make all custom new ones, and probably even make them black or something like that. Something cool, I don't know. Just to make sure that I get exactly the lengths that I want, and I'm not at the mercy of a kid. Go ahead again and just snug. Perfect. Now we're ready to put this bad mama Gemma on the car. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the camera over by the car and get ready to throw this bad boy on there. So what we're going to do here first is we're just going to clean up the mating surface for the filter adapter housing, and remove any of the timing plate RTV, just to kind of get it out the way, any excess that's unnecessary. And then go ahead and route the lines accordingly and bolt this bad boy up. As you can see here, this is the oil cooler. The key to installing these is run your hoses first, attach it to the top of your bungs, your hose bungs, and then go ahead, and there's two 10mm bolts here right on the bottom of the core support, and we're going to bolt them there, and then our project's done. We'll fill it up with oil after we put in our drain plug, and once we fill it up with oil, we'll start the car and we'll check our levels and top it off. It's like any other oil change. So I'll go ahead and get back to you guys once that's done. Now we've got the oil cooler installed. We put oil in it, we topped it off, we put the wheels back on, cleaned those up a little bit. And now we're ready to start the car and check the oil level to make sure that we've got enough oil in the car. So how you do that is you just start the car, run it for a couple seconds, turn it off, come out and check your dipstick. Your dipstick's at the oil level's at the F, you're good to go. The oil level's anywhere below the F, and it looks like you got a little bit of oil to put in. Usually my motto is if the oil level is at the L, you've got about a quart that you need to put in the engine. That's not the same, it's not a constant with every car, but for the most part, all the cars that I've ever worked on and changed the oil on, I've found that to be true. So again, always make sure you test it. Don't just go ahead and dump a quart of oil in there if your level's at the L. Just kind of a standard rule of thumb. And check your oil effectively, make sure it's right, top it off just enough so you're not going to end up overfilling the engine, and that can cause catastrophic failure. I'm going to go ahead, crank this thing over. It's kind of late at night. I'm just going to turn it on real quickly, take it back off, check the oil levels, and then we're done. Alright, so it looks like we're just a little bit below the F, so what that means is I'm going to have to get a little bit more oil, top it off tomorrow morning, and we're ready to go. So now, I can drop the car. Once I've topped off the oil, check the dipstick again. We don't need to turn the engine on again. It's already in the system, so we already know this is the true north, basically, of where the oil is. So top it off, close it up, send it. Jose Tex, thanks for watching, guys. For the Boys Garage, I'll catch you guys next time. Wait, what's today? Today's Friday. When am I going to release this video? It's supposed to be Thursday. Now it's Friday. But wait, what's tomorrow? Saturday. You know what Saturday is for. Saturday's for the boys.